I think we can all agree at this point it isn't about who will win a race, it's about who will stop Red Bull from winning it. In Hungary, we would have needed a repeat of the Bottas Bowling that shook up that Grand Prix last year to stop them from winning. For this year's Italian Grand Prix, Mercedes and Ferrari might have to go even further to take a win off Red Bull. They have a couple of tricks up their sleeves for this weekend though, so stick with us as we fill you in on what to expect at Monza. Max Verstappen is in an almost mathematically unassailable position in the Drivers' Championship now. But that doesn't mean there isn't still something to get out of this season for Ferrari and Mercedes. In Mercedes' case, they are desperate to get at least one win this season. We've had months of the team telling us that they're so close to it, and that they can make it happen. They just need to put their money where their mouth is now. After the Hungarian Grand Prix, Toto Wolff said the team finally understand the car now, and Lewis Hamilton shared a similar sentiment. We've heard this rhetoric before from the team, and then in Spa, they seem to have no idea what was happening again. Something about the high-speed tracks just makes Mercedes struggle, but they have plans to not let that happen in Monza. Ferrari are a very different case to Mercedes. They did have the pace at the start of the season and looked like serious contenders, but since then they've slipped out of the race. It's easy to point to strategy errors, pit stop mistakes and driver errors, but underneath all of that is a serious development problem. They dominated qualifying earlier in the season, but now are being beaten by Mercedes. This loss of qualifying pace hasn't meant an improvement in their race pace either. After the race in Hungary, team boss Matteo Binotto spoke about what Ferrari needed to fix. "If you look at the quali pace of yesterday, we were hoping for a better result today," admitted Binotto. He then spoke briefly about how unlucky the team were in the race before finishing with, "So simply not as good in terms of now it's 3 races in a row where Ferrari have lost out. From Hungary, from Spa and here. So I think we're not exploiting maybe the full potential of the car. There is something wrong that we need to address." What Ferrari needs to understand now is whether the failure to extract the potential reflects not making the most of the package it has, or lies in not fulfilling its development potential in recent months. Prior to its current 5-race win drought, Ferrari won at Silverstone and the Red Bull Ring, the latter primarily thanks to better tyre management than Verstappen and Red Bull. One thing that may have changed for Ferrari since their back-to-back wins 5 races ago is the new technical directive. In Spa, how the FIA were assessing the floor planks for wear and flexibility changed, and Ferrari had to make modifications to their floor. Carlos Sainz said of the car at Zandvoort, "It's in race pace that we're missing," said Sainz. "I'm not happy with how the car felt in the race. It was super tricky to drive. We were always fighting the rear a lot. We had a lot of tyre overheating. If they're losing the rear a lot, then they're probably not producing enough load on the rear tyres to keep them fixed to the road. It's likely that reworking their floor has meant they've lost a lot of rear downforce, which is then making the car tricky to drive, especially around a tight and twisting circuit like Zandvoort. Monza is obviously a completely different beast though. There is a reason they call it the Temple of Speed. With only 11 corners and some monstrous straights, top speed is the name of the game in Monza, as long as you can get around the corners of course. When Formula 1 visited Italy earlier in the season, an inability to get around corners was Charles Leclerc's downfall. Ferrari will bring a special low downforce rear wing for their home race at Monza this weekend, as they aim to halt Max Verstappen's run of 4 consecutive wins. The budget cap has put a stop to teams bringing track-specific parts to every race of the season, but for Ferrari, Monza is too important not to. In front of the Tifosi, who are baying for blood after the season Matteo Binotto has had, the last thing Ferrari can do is worry about budget caps. For the Scuderia, winning in Monza is everything. Top speed has been Red Bull's strongest feature this season, but for Monza, Matteo Binotto confirmed he isn't worried. For Monza, certainly we run a different type of wing, lower drag. So speed itself will not be a concern. Binotto hopes the home support will spur the team on to their first win since the Austrian Grand Prix 2 months earlier. After the COVID, it's great still to have all our Tifosi in the grandstands, he said. That would be important for us because they certainly cheer for us and boost us as a team, which right now we need to find some good results as well for this period. It does sound like he's trying to convince himself that the grandstands will be cheering for him, doesn't it? Of course, they will be on the day. Any bad blood that Matteo has garnered this year will be forgotten when the Tifosi see the red cars of Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz streaking past them. Or will they? Ferrari is determined to shine bright at its home race at Monza next weekend, perhaps with the help of a splash of yellow on its F175. The Italian outfit has just released on social media its exclusive Giallo Modena Special Edition t-shirt that Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz will be sporting at the Italian Grand Prix. So could the one-off team kit pre-announce a revamped livery for the Scuderia's F175? There's been no official indication that such a scheme is in the works, but Ferrari is expected to add a special touch to its car for its home race in its 75th anniversary year. And yellow being the historic colour of the city of Modena, blending in a ray of sunny inspiration to help spur on the Scuderia's charges next weekend seems timely given its recent run of disappointing performances. That is enough about Ferrari though. What do Mercedes have planned for the weekend? In the Netherlands, Mercedes thought they were in with a real shot at a race win, and if their tyre management had continued at the rate it had, they may have. Unfortunately for them, Valtteri Bottas' Alfa Romeo breaking down for the 4th time in 6 races allowed Max Verstappen a free pit stop that meant they could never have won. Lewis Hamilton admitted he is dying to have an opportunity to race Max Verstappen again, as he remains confident a win for Mercedes is in his sights this season. After a 2021 season centered on fighting the Red Bull team, Hamilton is desperate for Mercedes to get back in the mix and cannot wait to take on his old rival once again. I'm dying to get back in that race and have the opportunity to fight Max, but the day hasn't come yet, said Hamilton. There's so many great things to take from the Dutch GP. If this can be the same in the future races, we're going to be continuing to breathe down their necks and get that win. There might be many things to take from the Dutch GP, but it isn't Mercedes' top speed, which is what matters at Monza. George Russell was 4th fastest through the speed trap at 325.7 km an hour, a whole 5 km per hour slower than the fastest car, Sergio Perez. You might think that 4th isn't too bad, but Lewis Hamilton was 19th fastest, almost 12 km an hour slower than Sergio Perez. That doesn't bode well for the team in Monza at all. In Spa, a similar high-speed track with long straights, Toto Wolff said the team had their worst qualifying session ever under his leadership. That might have been hyperbole, but 7th and 8th on the grid was less than impressive for a team that had apparently got their car sorted and understood before the summer break. Lewis was almost 2 seconds slower than Max at Spa in Q3. So what are the team doing to address that huge deficit? Well, Toto Wolff has a plan. We're thinking about removing the rear wing overall to be less vulnerable on the straight, Wolff told the media. I mean, we have a barn door of a car with too much drag and downforce where we really don't need it. That is something we wish we can change quickly. That's for next year, and we're learning the hard way at the moment. And I believe that on some tracks, especially in qualifying, that will bite us. The races look better, like you've seen in Spa, that there wasn't such a big differential on the straight. That might actually be Mercedes' best hope of securing a win in Monza. Assuming the Ferrari wing has the intended effect and they keep their mistakes to a minimum, we could see a straight fight between Red Bull and Ferrari for the first time since Austria. If Mercedes want to get involved with that, they're going to have to find some serious speed in the little time left before the Italian Grand Prix. Do you think Ferrari's new wing can help them get a win at their home race? Or are Mercedes in with a shot of spoiling their party? Let us know your predictions in the comments down below, and until next time, drive safe and bye for now.